Hello, this is Vance, and this is Monday, October the 6th, 2014. And these are the CL trades for today using the slow hand method for price action. Well, first things first, I took an antihistamine and I feel a lot better. Mine just kind of kicked in, I suppose. Been taking for the last couple of days. They make me a little bit groggy, but my nose has cleared up a bit, so I feel a little bit better. And that's the first thing. Second thing is that it was really like a big range day today. In fact, let me talk about that. I talked about it this morning. I was on here for the pre-market, and I talked about this area right here. If I got support, I probably would have gotten long. Didn't develop. And when I'm saying it didn't develop, let me show you why I didn't take any trades here. I had this line here. It was like a couple of swings. I put this in afterwards. But when you look at it from this perspective, so it's a good point to kind of look at. We've got lower highs throughout this area. And even though price came down and it kind of looks like support, it pulls back. We have this first move out here, pulls back here, pulls back, comes down here, kind of sits around here for a bit, attempts to go up, and then there's another pretty strong bar here, pulls back down to here, tries to go up again. You said first time, second time, third time, comes back down here, then it closes on its high on this area right here, then it pulls down again. So when you see these bars, you've got lower highs through this area. And when you're looking at support, I said that I might test this area before the morning was out. Well, it didn't materialize because the support was really non-existent. Even though we had this overlap here, and even though there wasn't really any place to get long, in my opinion. So it was really a short. So once price broke down through this area right after noon, like this is 9:02, it doesn't seem like price is pulling down. When I put this line in here, I want to see a break of this trend channel. So price gets down in this area. I mark this as a potential trade because there's some matching lows through this area. It's a pretty strong bar. It's a second entry from off of this one, but you can see price came back down to here, pulled back right down to this area. So the second entry long, we had some capitulation here. Now I marked it in green, aggressive trader might because I think this is kind of the top of this range, right up to this area. You can see price pulled back first time, second time, so it's a second time. I thought we might be testing this area and then going higher, and it did. You got your first contracts off up to here. Didn't get much on the runner, but as soon as it made it to the top of these double tops here, we had an immediate, like a turnaround. It attempted to go up again, and then another failure. So if you look at this, is the second entry short on this on the short side. Now, what I was also looking at is that this may have been the first leg of a measured move because we had this stall down here. First leg down, pulls back the first time, fails, pulls back the second time, and then of course more softness. And when you look at it, this is kind of the idea. And look at the magnitude of this move. It's almost like that measured move until it gets to this bottom, and then starts. So it's like a spike in channel down here. Now, I'm not saying that you can take this trade, but the trade, if you were going to take a trade like this, you want to have your stop above the most recent price action. So you have it above here like this. This was obviously you had to limit in from here, this capitulation here, and maybe you want to see some weakness. We didn't know if there's going to be another leg down, and if it didn't get all the way down here, at least it would have gotten down to perhaps this area right here, maybe a bounce. So that's why I thought this was a reasonably good trade. But again, the reason it was green is because of this overlap. No place to get in here. Now, price gets down in this area. Here's the first entry, pulls back. Here's the second entry long right here. But it's within this channel. It breaks through the trend channel here. You can say maybe this is a first break. The break attests to the new low, attempts to go up again, breaks down again, another new low. Now, whether you see this is a turnaround or not, could you have taken this trade down here? It's a tough one because it would be based on the fact that you already had this measured move. If this, in fact, is the measured move, we have softness down here. We are below 89, almost below 88. And remember I said below 90? I thought it would be resistance below 90. Well, that didn't really materialize in the morning sessions. It just price kept falling down until it got below 88.76. And that 88.76 number, remember, we're talking about not that far off where those bottoms were. Remember I was saying down here, and down at the 88.20 area. This was the lowest price has been since last February for almost a number of months. So where are we going to retest that area? It could be. It didn't, however. We had this turnaround. The turnaround developed right here. Now, as people ask me all the time, what does a reversal pattern look like? What's a counter trend pattern? Well, what you see is that typically the reversals for counter trend patterns or anything come out of a tight trading range. So we can see we had this move down. It overshot where this measured move was. Gets to this bottom. Here's the first, pulls back, and this is really the second time when tested this low. So down here, you say, because we've had 2 tests on the high up to this area, 2 tests on the low to this area, you have to declare that I look at this area as being a potential tight trading range from this bottom to this bottom. And if you're looking at tight trading range, I'm also looking at the fact, do we have exhaustion down in this area? Well, this is a second entry long. Price makes new high. First entry, second entry long here, but it's in this overlap. But down here, it's a better trade because I'm thinking that maybe this is more like the first leg down, and here's a second leg down. So you can see price moves up, pulls back, moves up to this area, and then fails. So this is the second leg down. Now, if you get in on this trade, you'd like to see your stop below where that exhaustion of the measured move is. So it is a trade. This is kind of like a reversal. You have to limit in or buy in early. The looks like it's a tight trading range, and then by the time it gets to this top here and then capitulates and then moves higher, it really is. It was exactly the signal. But the key is to try to anticipate if it's in fact a valid signal. If you look at, and this is really difficult, it's kind of difficult to kind of explain in this respect, but notice this move down here in this move for this from this high down here is almost unbroken. Then we have the pullback, failed. We have another pullback, fail, another pullback, fail. So how many times is that going to do? Does that not look like a spike in channel? And if that's a spike in channel, you enter in limit order down low to give you the best opportunity going higher. I didn't mark this. It's an aggressive trade, no question about it. But it's, you know, we could have another leg down. That could happen. But given that we are near the daily lows and near this exhaustion, and because of this capitulation, I think it would be a reasonable trade to take. An aggressive trader could take that. I wasn't overly keen on it, but you could have taken. I can see where you take this trade. When it gets to the EMA, first pullback, second pullback. Again, it's like almost like a breakout pullback, but it's at the EMA near these tops. There's no real room to get out unless we're looking for these targets here, and I didn't think the market was quite ready for that. Breaks out, pulls back in the first time, pulls back the second time. Now looks like it's better prepared. And so if that's the case, and if this is the measured move up, I think that we'll at least get to these areas right here. That's what my thinking was, to reel in back this drop on this side. So like more of a, gather up this move from down here to trade into this area of the chart. And it did work out. But then it moved up, and it was pretty much, you got higher highs through this area, and lower highs through this area. So it's a trend up, makes a high. We have a pullback, the first pullback. We have another pullback down to here. Now, I talked about this as a trade. As a matter of fact, I did a demo trade on it and why I liked it. I liked this particular trade because of the fact that we came back to the EMA. There's overlap here. But I also thought that this was the first leg of a bigger measure move. So this was a move within a move. So you can see this move here. Let me just mark that up. So we had a move up here from off this bottom to, let's say, about here. First pullback and then another pullback down this area. So I was thinking that this was really the first move, but then on a larger scale, it was a bigger move like this. Now, why did I like this trade? It's because you can see this is kind of like the bottom. You see we had a pullback down to here. You used it. Seems like support. Pulls back. And we had the first attempt, second attempt, pulls back, and then we had this capitulation again. So that's why I thought this was worthwhile taking. Thought we would test the other side of the range. It did, and then you saw this demo trade, it took me out. But when price came back down to here, we have more resistance here. And this is kind of the interesting part about it. See, price comes down, fails, pulls down again, fails, pulls down again. And this is like a trap. So you can see price went all the way down here. Sellers were thinking it's going lower, and then they got really taken out. Now when the bar closes, it closes almost on its high. So add these two bars together, or three bars together, it looks like a very strong turnaround. And again, if you get in on this trade right near this area, as long as you're below this signal bar here, this green signal bar, it was enough room to get out to these double tops, which it did. And then had you held on to it, not necessarily break even plus one, but if you kept your stop down, you'd be fine. Now, it did come back. I mean, if you move your stop to break even plus one, it was only good for a scalp. It took you out. But as you can see, it started moving this way, and then you think that I thought that the bias was up. I thought the move would take place earlier. But when it found support, when the buyers started to reset themselves, then it moved higher. And there was really this was a very strong rip up here. And it actually touched it really got to the overnight high. It really did. It did what I thought it was going to do. Price bid, but it just took it. It took it. It didn't do it till in the early afternoon. It didn't do it right at the morning. The drop was a little bit longer than I expected, and when it did find purchase, it moved up. Now, what was this? Continuation pattern. Price trades up into this range, goes into a range, and trades up and out of this range. And it was a really strong, vibrant move, particularly really close to the close. So if you look at this from this area, it may even be the hair. And the reason is that this may just be a slight overshoot, but most of the touches are along right at the where the price was on Friday. This is the low price on Friday. So this is Friday's low as far as the previous day's low is concerned. So you can see that right here, the previous Friday's low, and from there it found support and moved its way up. And where did it move its way up to? The overnight high, right back to here. It touched it, pulled back, and then found support and moved up even higher than that. So we're above $90.74. It was something I was talking about there. Now you never know. I didn't know it was exactly going to go there. And you heard me talking about this morning. I thought if it found purchase, it would move up here. But all this overlap here, this weakness, it just never really found. This. It seemed like every time buyers would step in, sellers would drive it back down. Buyers would step in, sellers would drive it back down. It almost looked like it was going on this one, but then again, it started overlapping and sellers drove it back down until such time as that we had this pretty rapid down move. You don't know this is going to happen, but certainly it collapsed down to this area. When price got to this low, that's where we found that support. Anyways, I hope that's a good enough explanation. You have any other questions, please let me know. You saw this trade here. I did a demo early. It only was good for a scalp, came back. But as you can see, had I reformulated this idea, I thought that even though I was taken out on the break-even +1, when price came down here, my original thesis about thinking of being a measured move was still in place, and I would look at getting into maybe a limit in near the bottom of this channel. I think that would have been that opportunity here, or at the very least below where the closes were on these bars, somewhere in that neighborhood. Even if it did go into this overlap like this, because you can see that these matching lows right across here. Here's a low, run right here. All these touches, price it seemed like there was buyers just resident below here waiting to take price up. And then you can tell, as soon as it broke through this upper channel, and this is something I've mentioned in more than one occasion, as soon as price broke above this area right here, as soon as price broke around this area, this zone, let's call it, above 85, 50, 55, as soon as it broke out, you can see that any sellers that had these safety stops gave their position. And look at it from this perspective. Here's another area. Look where price hesitates. It hesitates likely where some sell stops or where safety stops are right here. And so it hesitates this area, pulls back, and then when it finds purchase, it really rockets out of there. So there are traders that were looked at perhaps even going short here. They got trapped. Not only the traders that would think that this was exhaustion and got trapped going short, but all those safety stops were given up. Think about it. If I was in this trade on a short above here, and I held all the way down to this level, and got most of my contracts up, and I was just holding on to a runner, let's say, above here, a safety stop. It came back and took me out. I don't know if I would hold it out that long, but I would have just given up that position. With price was starting to capitulate, and once one person gives up the position, other traders follow suit, and that's why we had this really strong move up out of here. It just triggered something, and bang. So that's it. It's 14 minutes for now. I hope you find some use out of this. If you have any questions, please let me know. This is Vance. Slow hand method for price action. Bye for now.